Hi there everybody and welcome back to the Blossom Crochet channel. In this crochet tutorial I will be showing you how to crochet this absolutely beautiful ripple or chevron stitch. So this is a V-stitch variation of that. So you can see it's quite a nice open kind of stitch. Now this one would be great for a more lightweight blanket, but obviously if you're using a chunky yarn or something then it would still not be very lightweight, but you know what I mean. But it would also make a really nice shawl, I think, as well. For example, if worked that way and really long and with a really big hook size so that it's really lacy and really open, I think it would make a beautiful lightweight summer shawl as well. So it's a very simple one row repeat. So once you get going, it really is quite a mindless one. You get these lovely straight edges as you can see here. But yeah, it's a really interesting stitch. I've really enjoyed working this one up. This one is actually a remake of a tutorial I did a good few years ago now, just with some slight modifications, just to get it a little bit more like this, basically. Just a little more definition in those stitches. So if this is your first time visiting my channel, then just take a moment now to subscribe and also click on the little bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But you can use absolutely any yarn that you like for this project. I'm just using this beautiful DK, which I will leave the information for in the description box. And I'm using the recommended 4mm hook for the purpose of the tutorial. As I say, if I was doing this as a lightweight summer shawl or wrap, then I would use this yarn probably with at least a 5, maybe even a 6mm hook, just to get a really beautiful lacy drape to it. But as I say, any yarn and whatever hook size you wish to create your project. So for this V-stitch ripple, you want to do your foundation chain in a multiple of 14. So you'll do 14, 14 and so on until your project is the width that you want it to be. So you, like I say, will do multiples of 14. So to chain, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. It's 2, 3, 4, 13, 14. So if you just complete your foundation chain in your multiple of 14. Okay, so once you've got your multiple of 14, you want to add an additional 6 chains to the end of that piece. So an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we're ready now to work back along and we're going to start in the 6th chain from the hook. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and this is our 6th chain. And you're going to put a treble into that stitch. Now do remember I'm using UK terminology, so for the entirety of this project you will hear me say treble crochet. But if you are used to US terminology, then just think this is your double crochet. But like I say, we're only going to be using UK trebles for the whole of the project. So we're going to treble into that 6th chain. So yarn over and insert into that 6th chain, yarn over and pull up, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is a UK treble or US double. Okay, we're then going to skip the next 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain you're going to put a V-stitch. Now a V-stitch will always consist of a treble, chain 1, treble, all into the same space. So skip the next 2 chains and then treble into the 3rd to start your V-stitch. So treble, chain 1 and back into the same chain you'll do another treble. Okay, so we're going to create our first peak now, so we're going to skip the next 2 chains and into the 3rd we will put a number of stitches which will create our peak. So into that 3rd chain, to create the peak you will do V-stitch, so that's a treble, chain 1 and treble back into that same chain space. So that's 1 V-stitch. You then want to chain 2 and then back into this same stitch again, so back into this very same space you will do another V-stitch. So treble, chain 1 and another treble. Okay, so that will create our peak, as you can see. You're then going to skip 2 chains again. Just make sure you don't miss this very first one here, because it might have pulled quite tight with doing a lot of stitches. So that's 1 and 2, and into the third you will do a V-stitch. So skip 2 and V-stitch into the third. And at this point we want to create our first proper dip. So you'll skip 2 chains, and into the third you will start a treble, but you won't complete it. So you will yarn over and pull up, and you'll yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops and then stop. You'll then skip 1 chain, so skip just the very next chain, and then into the one after that you will do another treble. So yarn over and insert, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. And at this point you should have 3 loops on the hook. So yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. So you've just treble crocheted 2 together, but over 3 stitches. So you've got the start of a treble, skip 1, and another treble to finish. So that will create the dip. Okay. So again, now you're going to skip 2 and then V-stitch into the third. And then again skip 2 and we're ready to do our peak. So into that third chain you will do a V-stitch, chain 2, and then V-stitch back into that very same chain. Okay, so you can see we're starting to get our little peaks and our little dips. So at this point now you will continue to repeat that all the way along. So in between each peak and each dip you will have a regular V-stitch. So you'll go. So we've just done a peak, so then you'll have a V-stitch, and then you'll have a dip, then a V-stitch, then a peak, then a V-stitch, then a dip, and so on and so forth. So do pause and rewind if you need to, and just continue that all the way along, and I will meet you as you get towards the end. So I've just completed my final peak here, as you can see, and the normal V-stitch, and I've got my 5 chains left. And then to finish this off, we want to create our final dip. So you'll skip 2 as normal, and then you'll do your treble crochet 2 together over those final stitches. So you'll stop with your 2 loops on your hook, skip 1 as normal, and then finish this stitch off in that very last chain. So yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through all of those loops. And that just finishes this foundation row. So you can see you've got your peaks and your dips all the way along. So at this point now we are ready to move on to the next row. So I'm going to turn my work and then straight into this very first stitch just here where my working end is. I'm going to insert through the whole of that stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then I'm going to go behind the left vertical post of that stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and that just creates us a nice treble height stitch but without any chains. So we're going to work straight into the middle of this V-stitch from the last row. So we're going to ignore these stitches here and we're going to work straight into this chain 1 space from that V-stitch. And you're going to put a treble into that chain 1 space. Okay, and then we are at our peak stitches from the row below. So into your first V-stitch of the peak, you will do a V-stitch. So always working into the chain spaces. So a V-stitch into that first V-stitch of the peak from the row below. And then we've got the chain 2 in between our V-stitches, and into that chain 2 you will create your new peak. So you will do a V-stitch, chain 2, and then V-stitch back into that same chain 2 space. Okay, and then we've got the second V-stitch from the peak on the row below, and that is where you will do your next V-stitch. Okay, so then you can see we've got the V-stitches from the last row either side of those dip stitches. So we're going to be ignoring these dip stitches completely. It feels really weird saying dip stitches, but anyway. And we're going to be working into the chain 1 spaces of the V-stitches on either side. Okay, so into that first chain 1 space of that first V-stitch, you'll yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2 and stop, and then you'll skip across all of these stitches to get to the chain 1 space of the next V-stitch. Yarn over and insert, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, so that has created your next dip. And now again, we're ready to work up to a peak. So into this next V-stitch, which will be the first part of your peak from the last row, you will do your V-stitch. And then you've got your chain 2 space. So you will create your new peak into that chain 2 space. So V-stitch, chain 2 and V-stitch back into that same space. So that's your new peak once more, and then again into the second V of the peak from the row below, you'll do your next V-stitch. And then again, you're ready to work the next dip. So into the next chain 1 of the next V-stitch, yarn over and insert, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, skip to the chain 1 of your next V-stitch after the dip. Yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. And then again, you're ready to continue that all the way along your row. Okay, so I've just completed my final peak and my final V-stitch, and then I've got these stitches left to work. So we're going to be doing our treble 2 stitches together to create that final dip. So into that very last chain of that V-stitch is where you will start. So yarn over, pull through 2, and then you want to find the chain which would have been the top of your turning chain at the beginning of the last round. So you'll yarn over again, skip the treble and technically one of the chains as well, and then into that very last chain you will complete as normal. Obviously on all the other rows it will be the top of that little chunky standing stitch that you would do that last bit into. So that is the end of that row. So at this point now I'm going to turn my work once more, and straight away into this very first stitch we will do exactly the same as the last row and insert your hook, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through both, and then behind the vertical post, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2. And then again you're going to do a treble on its own into the chain 1 space of that very first V-stitch. Okay. And then into the next V-stitch you will do a regular old V-stitch. And then you should be at the chain 2 space of your peak where you will do your V-stitch, chain 2 and another V-stitch all into that same chain space. So it's exactly the same as the last row. I just wanted to firm up your starting point and your finishing point. So again now we've just done our new peak, so we want to do a V-stitch into the chain 1 of the next V-stitch, and then you're going to work your dip across the next 2 V-stitches, so here and here. So into that chain 1 space you will start, and into the chain 1 of the next V-stitch you will finish. And then again, you're at your peak stitches, so you will do V-stitch into the first, chain 1 space, and then a new peak into your chain 2. And again, you'll repeat that all the way along, and I will meet you one final time at the end of this row. Okay, so I've worked my final peak and my final V-stitch, and then you can see we've got these stitches left. So into the next V-stitch we will start our treble 2 stitches together. So we will start in that chain 1 space and then finish on the top of that very first stitch that we did at the beginning of the last row. So again, start in that chain 1 space and finish. So you'll skip these stitches and right into the top of that very last stitch, you yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now the thing when you work on any kind of ripple stitch is that the ends can sometimes look like they're curving in that way, but please don't worry, because as you can see, as you do those very last stitches, the ends will be straight. And again, here on this end, it might look like it's leaning in, but it's not, it's actually perfectly straight. And then when you work your next stitches, you can see that it will be going straight up. But when you look at it on its own, it can sometimes look like it's slanting in on itself, but I promise you it's not. So that is the row that you will repeat over and over again until your project is the size that you want it to be, and you will get something that looks like from the beginning of the tutorial. But that is it for this one. I really do hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to comment and also like the video and share it with anyone that you think might enjoy it as well. But I will see you for another tutorial really soon. But thank you as always for watching, and bye for now.